Welcome to Reread. Well, here we go. It's book one of the Jedi Academy Trilogy called Jedi Search by Kevin J. Anderson. I've been super excited about rereading these because I loved them when I read them, and these days a lot of people talk about how much they hate them. Even today, I still hear people saying, yeah, Matt, these weren't that good. So, with an honest opinion, I was interested to tackle these again and see what I thought. Let's start off with the story. First off, Han and Chewbacca go to see Morith Duel, the Rabbit, a frog creature. I think he's an interesting character. I think he's done really well. Again, I was shocked that he was mentioned in the Thrawn trilogy. I just totally forgot about that. But of course, they shoot down the Millennium Falcon. He hates Han. Han suspects that he is the person who tipped off the Imperials, that he had dumped the spice. They got him in trouble with Jabba, and it turns out he was. But at the same time, Jabba got his revenge on Duel by blinding both of his eyes, so he has to see out of like a big monocle, mechanical monocle, and the other eye is completely blind. And he thinks Han is just there as a secret invasion by the New Republic, until he takes this glittersome spice that gives him clairvoyant powers for just a few seconds, and he shifts through Han Solo's mind and finds out that Han Solo is not lying. He is an ambassador, and he could start what he just did, could start a war with the New Republic. So instead of trying to apologize or smooth things over with Solo, he just throws him in the spice mines of Kessel and covers his tracks of Han ever being there, thinking he can hide it from the Republic. Meanwhile, Wedge Antilles, General Antilles, is cleaning up some of the debris after the Battle of Coruscant. They're trying to clear through some of the bottom levels of it, and as they dig through some of these levels, they come across these old paddles. There used to be ways that I guess Imperial troopers would tell if someone had the Force or not. They kind of run the paddle by them. If a blue aura showed up, they had the Force. And then of course Luke is trying to find ways to discover, how can you tell if someone's a Jedi? This answer hadn't been created yet because George Lucas hadn't created midi-chlorians. And so Luke was probing Leia's mind, accidentally probed a little part in the back of her head, and it gave him a pushback. And only people with the Force would have that mental lobe push back on them. And it's totally involuntary. Like Leia didn't even know what she did. And I do not know all the complaints about Kevin J. Anderson, but if these are the complaints, here's the thing. I'd rather have that than midichlorians, and then Qui-Gon doing a midichlorian count on Anakin. I think it'd be cool. There is a little brain lobe that you can kind of see. It's if you poke it with someone who doesn't have the Force, nothing happens. But if you do, you get like a little pushback, or sometimes you get bowled over. I like that. And then the paddles there, it doesn't bother me either. Anyway, so Lando goes to help Luke. He's kind of Lando. They do explain what happened to him, how he became General Calrissian. Leia offers him that title back since he did well, and this ties so much into Dark Empire. They talk about Pinnacle Base, the World Devastators, the cloned Emperor, basically everything that happened in there. Kevin J. Anderson makes this ties in, and he even mentions Lightsider. Like that's how Luke met Cam, was he beat him in a game of Lightsider and turned him to the light side of the Force. So obviously at this point, Kevin J. Anderson and Tom Veitch were really close, and Kevin J. Anderson loved the comic books. He's always been a comic book fan, and he's including tons of Tales of the Jedi stuff too. So comic book fans in general were just happy to see this. And I remember the first time I read this, I had read Dark Empire because someone told me to, but I had not read Tales of the Jedi yet. So all these references to Nomi Sunrider, Ulic Keldroma, Exar Kun, I didn't get the significance of because I wasn't reading those comic books at the time, but a comic book reader probably would have gone nuts. So hurrah for Kevin J. Anderson for being the first person to openly include the comic books. And also, in addition to that, there's a lot of West End Games stuff mentions in there, and a lot of West End Games machines, planets, people. Again, I totally missed this the first time reading it through, so that was really fun. But it explains that Lando used to be a general, now he's not. He's kind of hard on his luck because ever since he lost that mining operation during the Thrawn trilogy, it looks like, he lost it in a gambling match, a sabbat match. So now he's kind of down on his luck, needs something to do. So Leia kind of reinstates him with the New Republic as a general. He said, "Do you want to be a general again? I mean, you did such a great job during the, cloned Emperor, the battle against the cloned Emperor." So she reinstates him and has him go search for a Jedi for Luke. And this is where the whole thing about these blob races come up. I love the blob race scene. I love Lando. I think 3PO and Lando are wonderful in this. They're wonderfully written. Both characters. There's a lot of comedy in this. For instance, when they go on the planet of the blob races, someone offers them a baby blob, as a souvenir. Take it home. Grow, make your own blob. And then someone else offers them blob candy, or blob candy. Sorry, and the baby blob and blob candy look exactly the same, and Lando's immediately turned off. And I love that. I love little subtle jokes like that. I think the blob race is a lot of fun. They're squeezing through, oozing through holes, running across sharp surfaces, getting chopped up and trying to, gel back together before they cross the finish line. It turns out that this guy who's been betting on the races is a total sham. He's been cheating, and on that planet, there's a death penalty for cheating. But Lando talks him out of the death penalty when he finds out the guy's name is Timo, but that's not his real name. His real name is Dak, and he belongs to this very rich countess. He is, I don't know, her boy toy. I don't know, but he does it. She's so suffocatingly, affectionate to him. He's trying to run away from her. So there's a big reward out for him, and so Lando's going to turn him in and offer to split the reward with the blob race people, which they agree. And the lady at the end, the lady just turns out to be so grateful. She gives the blob races. She totally gives them money for a new blob course and gives Lando the full reward instead of half. So he's gotten his fortune back at the end of the book, which Lando always comes out on top, and I love that about it. When I talk about 3PO is just written so perfectly in this. There's so much comedy here, and I don't know if they strayed away from the comedy in Del Rey. I don't remember 3PO being this funny, but 3PO and Lando just make a great team. Lando's like, I can't remember what he's 3PO goes, "Well, I'm sure there's a perfectly good reason for that." He went, "Oh yeah, there's a perfectly good reason that everything," he said, so, and then Lando's showing how convenient everything just happened to be. And 3PO goes, good. He doesn't get the sarcasm. So he thinks Lando's being serious. I love it. I think it is hilarious. Meanwhile, Luke is going out. He's getting Gantoris, Gantoris has visions of a dark man. He thinks Luke may be it, but then discovers he's not, and then decides to follow Luke and leave his people. But his people are relocated to a planet called Dantooine for right now, instead of the volcanic planet they're on. Then he goes to Bespin, meets Streen, an old hermit who's basically older, maybe in his 40s or something, late 40s. He's got some graying in his beard and whatnot. And he gets him to leave Bespin. Now, I'll be honest, even though Streen won't reach his maximum ability until like the end of the book, end of the trilogy, he was one of my favorite Jedi from this. And you rarely get to see him in anything else, and it's a shame because I thought Streen was a really interesting character. At this point, the twins are a little over 2 years old. They're coming home to Han and Leia for the first time. They've been on Anoth with Winter for so long, but at 2 years, I guess she's going to release them and just take care of Anakin. So Leia's excited to get the kids. As Han is sent to the Spice Mountains of Kessel. Of course, that's where he and Chewbacca meet Kip Durin. Kip Durin helps them get out of a jam because there are these glittersome spiders down there. They're killing people on the planet Kessel. And as they kill off the guards and the shift manager, who's really mean the slave master, that's how they can break out. But they could not find their way out of the tunnels without Kip. So Kip, of course, has the Force. Han kind of figures that out really quick. And Kip was trained a little bit in the Force by Vima de Buddha from Dark Empire, which is really weird. They don't explain what she was doing in the Spice Mines for a little while, but Kip said she was, and then she disappeared. So I guess Vima just appears here and there whenever she can help. It was just another connection, something that he and Tom Veach probably got together and put together on, but I didn't mind it. Anyway, as they escape Duel off Kessel, they fly into the Maw, which is right there. Of course, they're going to come into Admiral Dalla. This is our first appearance of Admiral Dalla. I love Admiral Dalla here. I believe she may be late 20s. I don't know. It says she's, even though she's a little bit older and getting in her prime, she's still young and fit as ever, and she grows out her hair now because she couldn't back in the day. She had to keep it short, but she's been growing it out just to rebel, because there's no women admiral in the Navy. She's the only one. Now, she was privately promoted by Tarkin, who was also her lover. So there's a little bit of favoritism going on there, but it does say that she kind of earned it because she had her wits about her. And she's left with 4 Star Destroyers in the Maw installation, which is where they came up with ideas to perfect, we know this because we've read Death Star novel now, to perfect the Death Star, to make the World Devastators, to make the Sun Crusher, all these weapons. In fact, they have a prototype Death Star that is functional, that's within the Maw. And so Han encounters Dala. She kind of captures him, kind of tortures him a little bit, but gets all the information of what's been going on for the past 10 years since they've been stuck in there. Like Tarkin's been gone for, I think it's 12 years, I can't remember. But Tarkin's been dead and gone since then. And they just been sitting there because Tarkin, from what I understand, they weren't just stupid just sitting there, but Tarkin gave them a deadline, and they were 2 years past the deadline. So they were kind of wondering when Tarkin was coming back, or when they're going to get another message. And they didn't really know, but they thought, well, it's not too far off the target because we're just developing all these super weapons. But they've been there for quite some time, and now she finds out that the Empire is gone, the rebellion has, kind of ruled the galaxy. She's not happy. She wants to take the Sun Crusher and her 4 Star Destroyers and just cause havoc and destruction among the New Republic. And that's all she wants to do. Well, she's getting primed to do that. Han, of course, meets Q-Zux, who I love. She's kind of got bird quality. She's got feather hair, pale blue complexion, and kind of talks melodious like a bird. I don't know how that would sound, but either way, I like her. I think she's a really good character. And she is basically just lying to herself about all these big projects she made. She thinks the Death Star was made to break up dead planets, dead moons, and get to the minerals inside the core. She thinks the World Devastators were supposed to mulch up all the asteroid belts out there and get, and convert it into some type of material people could use. Now, of course, with the name, and Han's like, with names like Death Star, World Devastator, he said, what do you think the Sun Crusher does? She went, well, I don't need to explain, I don't need to justify what they do with it, I just create. And she realizes, thanks to Han, that she's been, basically lying to herself this whole time. And, and so she decides to break Han out, and they escape in the Sun Crusher. There's a great scene where they plow right through, because Han tells her, she's telling Han that the Sun Crusher is indestructible. He went, you mean nothing can stop it? She went, no, you can run it through an asteroid, it'll just plow right through it. He went, really? And so then he takes it and shoots right down through a Star Destroyer, through the command center, all the way through it, and takes out one of Dala's Star Destroyers that she moved in to block the Sun Crusher. So it was her fault. But he went out and just took it out, kamikaze style, while Kip and Q-Zux are screaming like, Han! And he's just yelling, he gives out a whoop as he goes through the Star Destroyer. It's a great scene. It's a great scene. Again, I don't know why people don't like this trilogy. That's just an awesome scene. And then Dala just kind of going pale when she realizes that's the Sun Crusher. Nothing can stop it. What was I thinking? And already she's lost one of her 4 Star Destroyers. Absolutely beautiful. Meanwhile, what's going on with Princess Leia? Well, the ambassador from Cardia, or Carida, the place that trains stormtroopers, is there. He has no intention of joining the New Republic. He's there to pay his respects to the Emperor at Coruscant. And reality, even though they don't say it in Book 1, he's there to poison Mon Mothma. And I remember this clearly. He has these 2 wine pouches, I guess, on his person. He's been drinking from the left one, but now he pours wine from the right one. And Leia's like, oh, did he already drink all the wine from the left? And it's a nice little thing, because at this point, in Book 1, you don't even know she's been poisoned. But they point that out detail there that something's different. And she just thinks that he's drank all the wine from his left flask or whatever. But no, he's getting the poison wine, and he gives a toast to Mon Mothma and splashes in her face and goes away like, I don't care about this rebellion, whatever. Long live the Empire. And he's just being a jerk. But the thing is, though, and Mon Mothma's like, well, we tried. She's mopping up her face. But in reality, that's going to be poison that's going to lead to things later on in the trilogy. Overall, what did I think of Book 1? I think it's excellent. I think it's excellent. Do people have a problem with Book 1? I really don't. I think it flowed really great. I read this in one day, folks. One day. It was engaging the whole time. It's such an easy read. It was smooth. It just reminded me again why I love this trilogy so much. And I can't wait to talk about the next one, sometime.